The meeting is being live streamed and recorded for on-demand viewing in the Council's website, and a person's image and or voice may be broadcast. Attendance at the meeting is to be taken as a consent by a person to their image and or voice being webcast. All speakers should refrain from making any defamatory comments or releasing personal information about another individual without their consent. Council accepts no liability for any damage that may result in defamatory comments made by persons attending meetings. All liability will rest with the individuals who made the comments. The meeting must not be recorded by others without prior written consent of the Council in accordance with Council's meeting code of conduct. Thank you.
Ask councillors to stand, please, for the prayer and also acknowledgement of country. Almighty God, direct the needs of those who are important in this council, that they may have regard for the welfare of their people. Amen. I'd like to pay my respects and acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we are meeting, and pay my respects to elders both past, present and future. Thank you, councillors. Apologies and applications for leave of absence.
Councillor Evans, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Evans. Councillor Gallus and Councillor Vernon. Councillor Vernon.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, I will move that the agenda item 9.6 be brought forward to allow the auditors to address council.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. Those in favour of this happening? All in favour. We'll go to 9.6 and we'll have the presentation of the annual financial statement to council.
You'd like to bring you online?
Right, we've got Manuel Moncada, I hope I've said that correctly, who's the delegate on behalf of the Auditor General representing the Audit Office, and we've got Brett Hanger, who's the Director of Audit and Assurance Services from Next Year Australia, who undertook the audit on behalf of the Audit Office, joining us online today to basically help us comply with our requirements each year to present the annual financial statements to Council and the public. So I'll hand it over to Brett and Manuel to say a few words.
Thank you, Simon, and good morning, Madam Mayor and Councillors. I note there's quite a detailed report by management in the business papers, so we'll just make a few comments from an audit perspective for you, and then open it up for questions. So the accounts were completed and ready for audit within the prescribed timeframe for this year, and the audit reports were issued on 20 November. The conduct of the audit report includes a number of financial performance indicators for the industry, and we noted that Council either met or exceeded the industry benchmarks for 3 out of the 6 indicators this year. The operating performance and own source revenue ratios, as well as the outstanding rates ratio, didn't meet the industry benchmarks for this year. Just briefly, Council's financial results included an operating surplus of $8.8 million for the year, compared to $6.5 million for the previous year. Total cash and investments at the end of the year amounted to $28.4 million. Council's unrestricted current ratio ended at 3.61 to 1 for the year, and this means that for every dollar that Council owed, it had $3.61 to cover it. This exceeded the industry benchmark of 1.5. The debt service cover ratio was 19 to 1 and exceeded the industry benchmark of 2. Rates outstanding increased a little bit throughout the year to 12% of the $10 million that was collectible. The benchmark for that one for a regional or rural council is 10%. In conclusion, we'd just like to thank management for their cooperation throughout the audit, and very happy to take any questions regarding the audit process. Thank you.
If I could, Madam Mayor, the previous audit reports have had reference made to the rather large employee leave entitlement reserve. Is that still an issue for us?
Let me just
$250 million.
Bear with me for a second. I'll just have a look at that. I think that was from a previous management letter, I think, about the monitoring of excessive leave balances. So we'll continue to monitor what Council's processes are around that. And obviously we did ask for management to give us an update on that as well. So perhaps even management may like to tell you where they're up to with monitoring those excessive leave balances.
Well, made has been allows for some payout of certain provisions in terms of annual leave and or some long service leave. So some of us have taken that, so we've obviously got a mandate to reduce that liability, and we'll be working with managers and team leaders and the directors to minimise that, certainly before 30 June next year.
Any questions of Brendan Manning? Well, you've done a pretty good job. Thank you very much for your report, and we'll leave you now. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Now we have a recommendation. Would that somebody move it, please?
I'll move the recommendation, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Newton. Councillor Hayward. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Now, we'll go back to the. We didn't quite get through the rest of the other bits and pieces. We had the apologies. Were there any applications for leave of absence? No. Disclosures of interest?
We have 9.14, significant pecuniary interest, that one of the applicants is my opposite neighbour.
Confirmation of minutes, please. Councillor Wheeldon. Councillor Noonan. Those in favour? Carried. Is a mayoral and councillor. Sorry. Outstanding matters from the previous meetings. Anybody, any outstanding matters from those meetings? Yes, Councillor Noonan.
I was wondering, I drove past the Neil Post Street flats out. This is sort of item 10.4. Still getting a pile of rubbish in one corner, which is a little bit's been moved, but still a bloody mess. So it's wondering how we've heard anything back from the owner. He hadn't done a hell of a lot.
That's those units. Any of the
I think one of the skips was actually bought in by one of the residents.
Matthew, you'll be communicating.
Yeah, so the owner has been liaising with the residents. The other residents having organised the skip bins, and the owner of those units has been coordinating with them to get the rubbish cleaned up. He's still trying to traverse between where he lives and here. He lives in the greater area of Melbourne, and works and whatever else. And I'm going to give him another call this week to find out where he's up to, because he has done a bit of body of work there to try and get it cleaned up in the time he has. And I'm going to follow him up with him, and hopefully either before Christmas or into the new year he'll finish it off. He did indicate to me that he is going to commence repairs of the units next year with all the damage that's been done, etc. So I'm sure he'll finish off the work not in the too distant future.
You've got 2 pockets to cost him lots to fix those flats. All right, thank you very much.
Any further questions? No further questions. Sorry. By Councillor Tallis, the seconder, please. Councillor McKinnon. Those in favour? Carried. 7, mayoral report and councillor reports. There are no attachments to that, so. Any questions?
Just one, Madam Mayor. You attended a video conference on the 25th of November with the Southern Border Recovery. Who are they?
The COVID group that was sort of going into that, where to from here and clean up and tidy up and make things better.
Move and second, or move it, second it.
I'll second.
Yes, Elstone, all in favour? Carried. 8.1, the Wentworth Sporting Club user group meeting on Thursday, the 26th of November. So any questions of
Madam Mayor, in relation to 4.9, the inspection of the new bowling range is undertaken. So we've got an update on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might be able to provide that. So there's actually a meeting with the contractor and the engineering department today with regards
to the bowling green and the subsequent inspection from I think Bowls Victoria that highlighted a few issues with regards to the or additional issues with regards to the surface, and the contractor is to provide a response back to us with regards to rectification of the surface and the timing of that. So as soon as I have that information after this meeting today, I'll forward a copy back through the General Manager's office with regards to the update on that.
Any further questions of the meeting? Yes, Councillor Foster.
Page 52, Madam Mayor, item 4.3, just in relation to the question, what happened to the excess of money for the tennis club? Do we have an actual answer to that? I know Councillor Hayward's provided a probably answer. Can we get something more definite?
Do we have an answer to that?
I don't have one at this stage, but I'll take that on. I'll provide that.
Get an answer to Councillor Patterson. Any further questions? The recommendation, those in, somebody move it, please. Councillor Rossone, Councillor Hayward, all those in favour? Carried. 8.2, the Willandra Lakes Region Heritage Advisory Group.
Happy to move this, Madam Mayor, if I may, and just explain that it does take a little while for the reports to be approved by the departments and everybody that's involved. So there are quite a range of agencies involved in this. So there are separate reports.
Councillor, second, please, for that. Hayward, yes.
Sorry,
yes.
Thank you. And I was just going to suggest the newsletters with the brown heading are the Aboriginal Advisory Group, and the blue heading is the Advisory Committee. So there's two different reports, and each from July and June, July, and September.
Are there any questions regarding this report? No questions?
The only other thing I could, if I may, next year, I think I've mentioned it, but if I haven't, I'll just repeat myself. The Willandra Lakes World Heritage Area will be celebrating 40 years, I think, since its inception on the World Heritage Register. One of actually the first in Australia. So there will be a lot of celebrations next year, which we'll be looking forward to.
Any further questions? Been moved and seconded. There's a recommendation. Those in favour? Carried. 9, reports of council. General Manager's report. Somebody move and second. Councillor Councillor any questions? Questions? Recommendations being moved and second. Those in favour? That's carried. 9.2, the Murray-Darling proposed name change. Move and second, please.
I'll move recommendation B.
Councillor Noonan, 2.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded that council not support the name change for Murray-Darling Association, the Murray-Darling Local Government Association. Is there any comment? No comments? Been moved and seconded. Those in favour, B. Carried. 3, there's some raised safari rally for 2021 and request for sponsorship. Move in a second, please. Councillor Hayward, Councillor McKinnon.
Bloody moving, mate.
There's four recommendations.
Yes, which one? Yeah.
It seems to be a fair bit of in-kind council, isn't it?
Well, I mean, A, B and C, A and B virtually are they're all different. So, yeah, which ones did you want to move, actually?
B is what we've been doing in previous events in relation to the financial and or extra cleaning and or bins and or other maintenance around the showground. So that's what council's.
Madam Mayor, $15,000 seems an incredible amount of money to sponsor one event. And really, the Wentworth Race Club, the showgrounds, and others don't get anywhere near that.
Too sure yet what we've moved, actually. Because there's A, B, and C, we've got to move in a second, but not sure.
What's been moved, which part of that?
It was open for discussion.
Which, we have the A, B, C or D.
I'm just, again, it doesn't seem like the people going in this rally are contributing a hell of a lot, and we're running the whole thing.
Can we go back to the mover?
Please clarify something. Are we having point A, B, C or D? Is the point
Yeah, that's what I'm going back to the mover.
That's one of those four that we're discussing.
Yeah, well, there's A and B was a discussion whether the money,
Well, they're two different ones.
What about there? We need to decide which one of those four things we're going to discuss. A, B, C or D. I'm not clear on what we're discussing.
I'll just make the comment in previous years we've been aligned with B.
Yep. So Councillor Hayward, I think you moved it, so.
Yeah.
A,
moving B.
A, B or C?
B.
B. Before you go on, the seconder.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mate.
Yep. Or is that what you're thinking?
B.
Okay, now we're back on track. So it's B. Now we've had Councillor Wilton spoken against B. We'll have someone who wants to speak for it.
I'll speak for it, Madam Mayor. I think it's well worthy. It attracts a lot of people to the district, and also I'm pretty sure revenue is it brings in somewhere dollars across the Shire over 9 days. So I think it's a very well worthy thing to support.
And does anybody want to speak against it?
I know, I was going to go on Councillor Elton, but also, I mean, we're doing the ski race that does sustain it with a lot of money, and I think that's a small amount to pay. Get a lot of people into Wentworth.
Okay. Well, we've had one against and 2 for. So, any further?
I moved it, I'm for it because it goes international with the video, and there's international people come to race in this. There's a set amount of people that are allowed to enter, and they come from overseas too. So, international event, really.
Been moved and been seconded, and mover and seconded went for B, providing financial support for 15,000 ex-GST plus in-kind support. We've had discussion. Those for the motion? Those against? Sorry, do you want yours recorded, Councillor? No. That's fine. Thank you. 9.4, the Australia Day Awards.
I'll hold those over to a confidential part.
Yeah.
I'll move that 9.4 that moves to the confidential.
Thank you. Those in favour? Carried. 9.5. Code of Conduct Complaint Statistics for the period ended the 30th September. There's a recommendation. Moved by Councillor McAllister, seconded by Councillor McKinnon. Any comment? No comment. Recommendation. Those in favour? It's carried. 9.6. We've done that. The 9.7, the monthly financial report. Move in a second, please.
And I'll just note also it's much easier to read with the larger font. The figures. Thank you.
Are there any questions on the financial report? No questions. The recommendations there, those in favour? It's carried. 9.8, the monthly investment report. Move it in second, please. Councillor McKinnon, Councillor Noonan. Any questions on the investment report, please?
Probably if I can, Madam Mayor, it goes within hand in the auditor's report. Simon, we've got $10 million in funds over 2 years. Is that the sewer program?
But and there's also a just timing difference between when we spent money towards the end of last financial year and when we then subsequently got reimbursed that for a lot of those grants. So we spent something like $5 million, a bit over $5 million in June, which a fair portion of that was the aerodrome and a few other projects, and then we didn't get, the claims for those didn't, so the claims for those didn't come in until July or August.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Is there a second? Those in favour? It's carried. 9.9, suspension of alcohol-free zone in the Wentworth Rowing Club and lawns.
I'll move recommendations 1, 2 and 3.
Councillor Elstone moved, seconded. Councillor Noonan, any comments? Discussion?
The free alcohol.
Where do we get a freebie?
Those in favour of the recommendation? Carried. 9.10, land acquisition, A54 Wilga Road realignment.
Move recommendation 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6.
Second for that. Councillor Elstone, are there any questions or comments? I suppose the map is not particularly good. So no other questions? Those in favour of the recommendation? It's carried. 84, the Wilga Road deed of agreement.
Move the recommendation 1, 2 and 3.
Councillor McAllister, seconded. Councillor Elstone, again, any questions?
I just think it's great to see that Gold can open up and connect both sides of the creek. I think that was good.
Yeah. Any further questions or comments? Those in favour of the recommendation? Carried. 9.12, natural disasters, local government environmental plan clause.
Move the recommendation A and B.
Okay, seconded for that, please. Councillor Noonan. Any comments, please?
Noting that the Wentworth map is still dated 2011, but it seems like if we can add this piece of the puzzle, when it does finally get updated, it should have all of the pieces that we require to move forward to the 20s.
No further comments? Those in favour? That's carried. There's a division here, so those in favour? Again? That's everybody. Thank you. 9.13, planning proposal, rezone lots 56 and 73.
Recommendation, Madam Mayor, A, B and C.
Okay, Councillor Elstone. Councillor McAllister.
I have a question.
Question, Councillor McAllister.
Page 170. I'm just noting that, and it's not really council's, actually, I've got another question. Let's start with page 164. Page 164, there's a bit of a table, and the first paragraph underneath it says the first of the subdivisions that was registered in 1997, 20 years ago. And since that date, 161 lots have been sold. The only ones not sold are stage 2 and 3 lands in the Golgol Heights estate. I'm just wondering whether we could get an update on those figures, because I'm quite sure there's more developments than that since this report was written.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be off the top of your head.
Yeah, absolutely. We can get you that report done. And this was produced by Danson and Legal outside the council, so you might not have access to the stats. We can get you an update.
That'd be great. Yeah. Thank you. Because
next question.
Moving along, page 170, and again, this is the Danson and Blavey report, so we're not responsible, but point 4.4.1 seems that whole paragraph refers to another development that's closer to Wentworth. And so I'll also refer to page 194. I'm sure this has been picked up by the team. Because it refers to stormwater services, I think. And on page 94, the response to submission 2.6, that there will be compliant waste treatment system connected to stormwater drainage infrastructure that will service the development. Is that existing infrastructure, or is that going to link in with the proposed one that's heading further out?
Look, I'm sure I haven't had any input into this. I don't know. So I think I'll go and have a look at that for you.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
If I may, Councillor McAllister, I think it's reference to two different systems. So household wastewater systems, there'll be aerated water treatment plant systems individually. That's the way that was addressed. And further to that, there's stormwater issues around the detention basin, which also being addressed part of our infrastructure.
Are there any further questions on this comprehensive report? No questions. It's been moved and seconded. A, B and C. Those in favour? Recommendation. It's carried. There's division here also. There's division. Everybody. Thank you. 9.14.
The one that I need to leave for is DA 2021-24. DA 2021-24, the third one down on page 197. Shall I leave now or Yes, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Delegated authority approvals at the end of November 2020. There's a recommendation there, please. Somebody move it.
I'll move all three things.
Councillor Noonan, Councillor McKinnon. Are there any comments on this? Right, no.
On a couple we've got over 30 days, so pretty good effort still to do that.
Yeah, there's certainly plenty down, so that's
good numbers.
solid. So.
The road access road, I think it's too narrow.
Right, move the recommendation. Those in favour? Carried. Division also. Those in favour? Yeah, that's carried. Thank you. Yes, thank you, Councillor. 9.15. Wentworth Shire Council Aerodrome, adoption of fees and charges.
Move the recommendation.
Councillor McAllister, seconded for the aerodrome. Councillor Noonan. Are there any comments or questions?
Just a question if I can, Madam Mayor.
From the submission, there's only two received, formal responses received, which are which specifies their comments and council's for our comments and response.
They were in.
That's
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Okay, no other questions? Recommendation to move to second. Those in favour? It's carried. 15. Wentworth Shire Aerodrome's adoption of conditions for use of access.
Move the recommendation, Madam Mayor.
Councillor McAllister, seconder. Councillor Haywood. Are there any questions on that item?
A couple of, I don't know if they're typos or if I've got the words wrong. Page 219, point 11.10. The last word is precedence. Is things that are happened and then things that come later on relying on them. But I think the correct spelling should be precedence, PNCE. 226, Appendix A, number 14, the last sentence, WSC loss if revenue, I think that's supposed to be loss if revenue. That was all I could pick up.
Sorry, what was that last one?
Page 226, Appendix A, number 14. Loss if revenue. WSC loss if revenue should be more. Yep. That's all I've got.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? Moved and seconded. Those in favour? Carried. 9.17, project and works report update for December 2020. Is a recommendation.
I'll move the recommendation, Madam Mayor, and doing so.
Councillor Noonan.
Again, thank
Councillor McKinnon.
and thank the relevant manager for all the nice photos. It's a good idea of where it's up to.
No other questions?
One, around that porch, we've got a photo of Eden. New fencing and that's put in there, there's a lot of stuff we're growing in that vicinity, which is going to be end up on the volleyball, the netball courts.
Tell me take note of that, John.
Yeah.
I actually had a
Sure.
question here that I missed yesterday. When will the old Pearl Hall be demolished and removed?
Yeah, we'll take it on notice. I mean, what's happening currently is that there's some salvage operations happening through the Cool fruit growers where
I think they've taken all on YouTube.
there's iron gone and there's windows gone. We'll have a closer inspection of that and work out what's the appropriate resources that we need to demolish.
Just that, we build a facility because it's needed and we leave something there that's.
It was always part of the schedule to have it removed, but there was also an agreement with the fruit growers that they would salvage whatever they could.
We have a recommendation. Councillor.
Just another observation about the George Gordon Oval. The watering system there, I don't think it's really working too well. There's a lot of patches that are fairly yellow at the moment.
George Gordon Oval.
Yeah, just
Would I refer that to the last slide?
just looks like maybe not enough pressure in the sprinklers or whatever are going around.
Any further questions? Motion's there. Those in favour? Carried. 11. Confidential business.
And Madam Mayor, questions about notice?
Oh, sorry, I don't believe that they can't ask those questions. Notices of motion, questions with notice, and we'll start with Councillor.
Oh, good, thank you, Madam Mayor.
All right, Councillor McAllister. Nothing from me. Quick. Councillor Noonan.
Got a couple, Madam Mayor. One is the much provided promised speed hump in Matong Street, Narrowsville Flats is still desperately needed. Still a speedway around that corner past the old folks flats again. Something to get killed. They fly through there up from the oval green course up towards the club.
That's in that sharp head there.
Yeah. Oh, they fly straight up towards the club and the cars are really loud. Really loud. And floor up there.
The second one.
They got something in the pool, so they need to keep going across the pool sort of thing. Second one is I raised the possibility a couple of meetings ago. Now the area group is going to be a massive setup. We have a users group, like with other areas of the shire, so we're still looking at something like a users group.
Yeah, sorry, Councillor Noonan, I haven't progressed it too far, but we'll go to their individual user group and ask for representatives.
Yeah.
Councillor McKinnon, I'm sorry I zoomed past you because you're bigger than life there. Have you any questions?
No, I'm right.
You're right, okay, thank you. Councillor Hayward.
I'm right, thanks.
Councillor Wilson.
Yes, I've got two. The speed limit on coming into town from across the Darling River Bridge is still 60. And you drive along the highway and there's 4 or 5 signs saying 50 in there. And I believe the speed coming off that bridge is too fast. I believe that we've been fed a lot of bullshit by the roads and maritime people, and it's a public safety, and I believe something should be done about it, and we should take a stand on it, and not be dictated to by people that just don't know and don't want to know the facts. That's my first point. The second is the tip opening times in Wentworth. They've been reduced. I believe it's stupid. The Sunday has always been the day that the tip is open all day, with exception to the hot days. And to have that time reduced is not right. Council provide a service. I notice in other parts of the Shire, they've got 7 days opening of the tips. And I don't think that Wentworth, Pomona, Kerwa, and the areas serviced by the tip in Wentworth should have reduced hours. I think it's part of council's responsibility to provide rubbish disposal.
So if I may, Councillor, what hours are you asking for on Sunday?
I'd say from 9 to 4:30. And Friday opening times are in the morning, and they are not really satisfying.
No, we've changed them to the afternoon.
Pomona's in the morning.
Pomona's in the morning and Wentworth.
Yeah, well, that's the way it used to be, and I thought they'd changed it.
Yeah, no, sorry. Since COVID, we've gone back to Wentworth in the afternoon.
About 3 weeks.
3 weeks ago, we changed it to Pomona in the morning and Wentworth in the afternoon.
Anyway.
Does that address that one? The Friday one's okay?
Friday one. And the Wednesday, I think it should be open in the afternoon. I mean, it's only a small thing. Other parts of the Shire have got 9 to 4 all the time, and half the population are served by the Wentworth.
Anything else?
Councillor Wilton's first bit about the speed. We're going to try and get back to a traffic management like we used to have at RMS, because that addresses those situations.
Help me out, Jeff.
I'm not quite sure.
Setting up a traffic committee or to address these issues at a committee level. Is that still?
Yeah. What was the name of it, Councillor Nugent? We used to traffic management, and we used to have RMS.
Yeah, possibly there.
Yeah, the police used to come along highway patrol.
That is one of the wrong.
At least like the standard.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'll take that on notice and I'll follow up with
The point I'm trying to make, Madam Mayor, do we have to wait until someone gets killed before they slow the bloody traffic?
Where was that, Councillor Wilton? Sorry, I
I'm
missed it.
talking about the Wentworth Bridge. Coming into Wentworth over the bridge.
Right, yeah.
Over the Darling.
If you're doing 60 k's over the bridge and somebody comes out of Darling Street, it's scary.
State highway where it need to be a warrant, which has got to be referred through the Transport for New South Wales.
Devise an
In
alternative.
the past, Madam Mayor, they've said there's no precedent about it. Go through Baronga, go through Denton. You don't have to travel very far. They're 50 in the town. But Wentworth, where there is a danger, that they haven't responded in any way.
Yeah, I think it's been noted, so we'll move on from there. Does anybody else? The only thing I'd like to raise is, could we have a hard rubbish removal early in the new year? And that's taking away everybody's stuff that they can't get rid of themselves, in other words. I know I raised it some years ago, and we've had we've had one or two occasionally, but a lot of older people don't have the ability to take away worn-out washing machines, old vacuum cleaners or TVs or that sort of stuff. So I'd like to see that we can't do hard rubbish removal. And that's open for anybody who wants to come along and help themselves in bits and pieces. They have it in other towns all over the place. So
The waffles come out.
yeah. One person's rubbish is another person's gold. It's like garage sale. Okay. Has anybody else anything
I
else?
did have one, sorry.
Thank you.
I've got, the Bottle Ben Reserve, looking at, purchasing a shipping container just to contain, work items. They're doing fencing at the moment. They often need to do some construction work. I was just wondering whether council might have, something like a lockable, building that's past its date that might be on the verge of being chucked. And just whether Mr. Gunn might have a think about what's there that is no longer of use that perhaps could be repurposed cheaply to help out the volunteers. Appreciate that. Thank you.
No further questions. We'll now we'll go over to item 11. We'll ask somebody, Councillor Noonan.
No, I'll pass the baton to Councillor McAllister.
Oh, Councillor McAllister.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to move that council adjourns into closed session, the recording of the meeting be suspended, members of the press and public be excluded from the closed session, and that access to the correspondence and reports relating to items considered during the course of the closed session be withheld unless declassified by separate resolution.
Second for that. Councillor Haywood. Now, first of all, we'll bring 9-4 back in, I think. It's Councillor. No one go 9-4 first.
In relation to the items of deliberation in the closed session of council, I can confirm that the discussion was held around the recipients for the Australia Day Awards, which will remain confidential until the day of the awards, for which determination was made in relation to the Citizen of the Year, Environmental Award, the Young Citizen of the Year, and the Sports Person of the Year. In relation to item 12.1, or a water account reduction request, that the council agreed with the recommendation that the sum of $2,929 from the water account on an address in Dawn Avenue, Gold be reduced. And in relation to plant replacement for 2 motor vehicles, it was resolved that the Davidson Motor Group be awarded the tender for changeover price of $80,427.75. This will be confidential.
Before we finish, I'd like to wish everybody, all the councillors, staff, and everybody a very Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year. And let's hope it's better than what 2020's been. But let's also think of those less fortunate than ourselves, and do unto others. So thank you very much. And I'll close the council.
Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Keep well.
Sorry, council. That's your annual report for the year concluding 30th of June 2020. So,
And a handsome tones too.
a diary. Other people have received diaries.
They've already been handed out. You must, didn't you put in an order?
You never get my shop built, it might be out of date.
So we can find the 2021.